It's finally time. A new pasture is opened and boy are we excited. Set your calendars everyone, as finally we shall soon have a new city to explore, some new characters to make memes from, some new glitches to discover. Oh baby, yes, this shall be a glorious mark in video game history. Yes, my pants have gotten warmer just by saying that. Wait, hold on. Vice City. Oh, Vice City, we are ready. Let's review GTA 5. This is a video I've had in the works for a very long time now, and I wanted to wait until GTA 6 was announced and then do a review on the game that's literally changed my life. I mean, if I didn't become a GTA YouTuber, I would have no idea where I'd be in life, and I wanted to make this a rather special video in that regard. And because I need to output videos so I stay at least a tiny bit relevant within the GTA community, and so without further ado, let's get right to it. A GTA 5 review because GTA 6 was announced. Grand Theft Auto 5, the then most successful singular video game that ever existed. On launch, it generated $1 billion in just 24 hours. But is it the game of all games? Rockstar are known to make the most influential video games known to man, for good and for bad, with GTA 3, San Andreas and GTA 4 being some of the games in the series that I personally think made the biggest influence in gaming, at least to me. I mean, all of the games are fantastic in their own way, but GTA 3 pioneered the genre and began the careers of some school shootists. Probably. San Andreas mastered the formula, leading to a record-breaking sales number for the PlayStation 2, and to this day is still one of the all-time favourites in the series for a lot of the GTA fans out there. And GTA 4 brought the formula to a modern generation, bringing modern gameplay tropes like advanced physics, advanced AI, as well as providing one of the most famous glitches of all time. GTA 5 being the follow-up to that obviously had to be a much bigger game with more places to explore, more weapons to shoot hookers in the face, more cars to run over hookers with, a bigger story to unravel hookers, and better game mechanics to tie it all together into an action figure shaped package. And also tie up hookers. But does it? Has GTA 5 been that game that deserved the widespread praise that it got? Or have we all been just blindly playing the game for over 10 years like the mindless drones we are because we're all masochists? Well, I'd have to argue while it does excel well in some aspects, there are places in the game I think it actually takes a few steps back. So there's two main parts of the game. There's the single player story mode, which people play like once or twice, and then there's the online mode where the objective is to blow each other in the face with rocket launchers to cartwheel us into the nearest body of water, in which I shall discuss separately. But a lot of what can be said about story mode can also be valid for online too. Anyways, the plot begins. It was a cold day in the middle of North Yankton and you know what? Let's just briefly summarize the story. I'm not really one who commonly indulges themselves in a game story anyways, I just like to shoot people and drive cars and stuff. Yeah, I'm a psychopath. And also this video will take forever and a day to make, so I'll just quickly summarize. Michael, he robs banks and stuff and was a really successful dude. He ended up making a fortune, but he also raised up a family in which he absolutely sucked at that. His wife was having an affair with a tennis coach, so he gets real mad and he goes over to his house and somehow destroys an entire structural integrity of a property with nothing more than a goddamn rope and a pickup truck. I don't think this would work in real life, as I think it would take something along the likes of a tank and a chain for that to happen. And even then, I reckon the property would be mostly structurally intact, but never mind that. He destroys his house, but oh no, it wasn't his house after all, as it belongs to this handsome devil, and he is very mad. He forces Michael to pay for the damages, as to avoid him being his future sex slave for the rest of his life, life, he has to go back to a life of crime. So he gets his old crew back together, along with a new face in the form of Franklin, the new kid, who gets stuck in because they cross paths. They meet people along the way, loose ends, this time it's personal. Rat-a-tat-a-tat-a, bitches. And everyone makes out the end. Some details are a bit ignored for pacing's sake, but that's pretty much the gist of it. There are numerous endings to the game, but the one that you want is the one where everyone lives, not only because it's the canonical ending, but it's also because the other two bad endings are so poorly written you'd be forgiven if you thought these were a modded-in mission or something. So everyone gets out scot-free, they have loads of money, and everyone makes out the end. I personally found the story to be okay, although even to this day I still haven't quite grasped all the details like I was able to in the other games. Not that it's a bad thing, but it's just this, I felt the story of GTA 5 kind of brushed over me is all. Okay, with the story over, how does the game hold up as an actual Grand Theft Auto game? Well, to do that, I'm really going to have to go over what makes a Grand Theft Auto game, and that would be with the vehicles, the weapons, the map, the movement, the combat, as well as a few things about the graphics. The map. Starting with the map, I feel like the map is a very important thing to talk about, as this is the first map in any 3D GTA game to have the entirety of the explorable area open to the player at the very beginning of the game, instead of being cordoned off because Storm Deborah paid a visit, and secondly the way it's designed. I'm gonna say it right now, I think GTA 5's map is designed about as good as a car with backwards facing seats. In all the GTA games besides 1 and 2, parts of the world map had to be unlocked by completing a certain percentage of the games. This gave a sense of achievement to the player because, wow, a new place! Well, let's explore! Oh my gosh, a new city! Look at all these buildings, they're friggin' different. Oh wow, look at all the people, they're actually the exact same, but oh, look at this military base, holy shit! Probably the best example of this was GTA San Andreas, where you had 3 friggin' islands with cities and surrounding environment to explore, each of which had drastically different styles based on their real-life counterparts. It was an invigorating experience to just drive around previously uncharted territory after it had just been unlocked, and you seeing all the new stunt jumps that you could do, all of the activities that you could take part in, the sights to see. Oh yes, it was great. But GTA 5 doesn't have this. It's not strictly a bad thing to have everything unlocked from the get-go, but it does make the world of GTA 5 feel off for some reason. I couldn't quite figure out as to why this was when I first played the game back in 2015, but it might have something to do with a combination of the time spent in one part of the map with the other parts of the map being nothing more but desert or hills, with the landmarks serving little to no purpose outside of the occasional mission that might take place there. There's also the main elephant in the room in the form of the fact that you can pretty much circle the map in less time it takes to eat a banana. The design of GTA 5's map is poor in my opinion, and I think that's the general consensus whenever I see people talking about the map on Reddit and such. See, GTA 5's map is kind of like a pie that's been severely underpacked. That's probably the worst analogy ever, but I'm going with it. It's big, but it feels small due in part to how it's been designed in terms of road layout and structure. And now let's take a look at Vice City's map for example. To cross from one side of the map to the other, you have to navigate a series of roads and bridges to get to your destination, all the while taking in the great sights that Vice City has to offer. It's pure bliss. But GTA 5 on the other hand, to cross from one side to the other, all you have to do is just take the main road all the way up to the top. No problem. Keep your foot on the gas, all the while taking in the amazing scenery of sand. San Andreas is also a good map. That also feels much better to drive around in. To cross the map in that, you have to navigate countless country roads, winding forest paths, and the occasional freeway to get around, and the views just unbeatable. Well, at least for the standards of the time, but that's still pretty good by today's standards, I think. As a result of GTA 5's poor map design, the world of GTA 5 feels incredibly small in relation to its actual size. Square space size, it's actually the biggest we've had yet, but because we can traverse it so quickly, the sense of scale is just lost. Like a train set that's laid out in the living room floor. Sure, it might feel big at first, but once you do like 200 laps around the living room, your mother just becomes like, "You keep it down, friggin' trying to watch Coronation Street, stupid kid." It's like playing a space game like No Man's Sky. You have the entire galaxy to explore, but because you're equipped with a ship that can literally travel close to light speed, the sense of scale is kind of lost. I mean, it also doesn't help that the plants are randomly generated, but that's besides the point. But anyways, whatever. Let's take a look at Red Dead Redemption 2's map. The map is only slightly larger than GTA 5, but the fact that you traverse the world via horseback and maybe the occasional omnibus or a train, it leads to a world that feels enormous despite it being just marginally bigger than GTA 5. It can take you about, half an hour to a full hour to cross the map in Red Dead Redemption 2, whereas you can cross the map in GTA 5 in no less than 3 minutes. And while other locations do exist in GTA 5 like Cayo Perico and North Yankton, you can only really visit those areas in certain missions or by using mods, so that doesn't really count. Worse still is that a lot of the map has nothing in it. Let's see, over here we have the desert, and then over around here we have steep hills with little to nothing to explore. I mean, sure, there's the occasional cliff, cave, building, or explorable to see, but most of the time these areas are just used by tryhards who are doing a sniper duel in online. All of the Rockstar maps have some barren areas too, don't get me wrong, but I think we can all agree that this is just not as obnoxious as GTA 5's emptiness. That being said, GTA 5 is the biggest GTA world yet, and as such there are quite a lot of areas to explore in the world of GTA 5, and you can have a great time if you take your time, know where to look, and actually walk around the areas to explore the many secrets that they hold. They also act as a great backdrop for playgrounds for the player or players in online to come up with crazy games and tomfoolery as they naturally would do. I just wish GTA 5 was a little more thought out is all. Yes, there is a very well detailed city filled to the brim with this, but I wish there was more of a reason to leave the city, because naturally most of the time that we spend in GTA 5 is in the goddamn city, especially in online since it's easier and more convenient to have all of your businesses in the city tightly packed together for easy access. GTA 5's map does make up for his lack of design with the abundance of underwater stuff that, with the use of the series' first submarine and scuba diving kit, can be explored in great detail, with tons of secrets and cool stuff to be found. It's even used in some missions, which is a bonus. Speaking of vehicles, the vehicles. Now before I begin to talk about the vehicles in GTA 5, I think it might be worthwhile to quickly look back at the cars in GTA 4, because every other GTA game we got before GTA 4, and hell even other open world sandbox games, we always had cars that were relatively quick yet stiff to handle. Not so in GTA 4 where they were infamously regarded as handling like boats. But now over the years I think it's safe to say that the GTA community at large has grown to embrace the more realistic, weighty feel of the cars in GTA 4, because not only did it make driving around the streets of Liberty City more fun and realistic, it also wasn't even really a thing when you got behind the wheel of some performance-oriented cars like the Turismo and the Sultan RuneScape. The sense of speed you got in these cars felt very dangerous, but in a good way. It felt amazing, as any sort of twitch to the steering made the car rock back and forth, and any sudden sharp change in steering would likely cause an out of control situation which makes you feel like you're on the edge of control, which is how I think you should feel when driving a civilian car very fast, and I think that worked well to GTA 4's advantage. Moving on to GTA 5, when it came to not only the driving but also the combat and a lot of other things related to gameplay, it's clear that Rockstar Games wanted to give GTA 5 a more laxed, almost arcadey gameplay loop in comparison to GTA 4, which we'll get onto as the video goes on. GTA 5's cars, which, keeping with the more arcadey feel, had the cars much more manoeuvrable, much more nimble, more grippy around the corners, and overall quicker to drive. One disadvantage to GTA 4's car physics was that if you ever rolled a car, it was game over, unless you were able to roll it back using another car or something, but on the most part it was game over. The damage model was also very realism oriented, whereas in GTA 5, if you rolled a car several times off of a cliff onto its roof, You can just press one direction on the steering and the car will just right itself, not much worse off than before the crash. Almost like we're playing with Hot Wheels cars. There are instances where you can mangle a car till it looks like a complete wreck, but it's definitely not as common as you'll find in GTA 4. The handling of GTA 5's driving engine, believe it or not, is actually the most realistic yet. Oh wait, hold on, let me explain. Although it is the most realistic yet, a lot of its potential is locked away by borderline stupid design choices, like reducing the amount of power one can put on the gas pedal if the game detects that the car that you're driving isn't driving in a straight line, or is sliding like a lot of real life modern cars do nowadays with their software to ease driving for people who aren't necessarily into high performance race driving. The lack of any sort of clutch control, for instance, makes drifting by definition nearly impossible, among many other things. The best way I could describe GTA 5's cars as a whole is the difference between driving a car with all the driving assists and safety settings switched to maximum, compared to driving with everything switched off. Yeah, with everything switched off you have much less stability and the drive is going to be a lot more dangerous with the high likelihood of you losing grip and spinning out, crashing and dying, but you at least get to use the car to its full potential without being held back by its active stability management, yaw control, traction control, and ABS braking. Granted, a lot of these things are due in part that Grand Theft Auto was designed to be played using a game controller, and it would be pretty frustrating to a lot of gamers if they found themselves crashing cars too much simply because they lack an understanding of basic driving principles, but it would have been nice to have been able to disable a lot of these safeguards to let the players have some fun, like what you can do if you mod the game. It kinda reminds me of when I was playing Formula 1 2000 for the PlayStation 1 as a wee little lad. I'd end up off the track onto the grass because, well, I was like 8 at the time and I didn't understand anything about understeer and whatever, and whenever I'd end up on the grass I'd naturally just press accelerate and get confused as to why the car was just spinning around in place. I didn't know I had to be gentle on the accelerator to move the car carefully. I was just like, why won't the car move? It's spinning all the time. This game sucks. I'm gonna play Abe's Odyssey instead. And the same would apply here. Yes, GTA 5 is an adults only game, but kids as well as people with little understanding as to how cars work play this game too, so the game needs to be accessible to as many people as possible, and thus the game has these driving assists. With mods you can disable a lot of this stuff and really take advantage of the full potential of the driving physics engine, but Rockstar decided not to include it, so that's the thing I guess. We did sort of get it as part of a GTA Online DLC with the addition of low grip tyres, but you get my gist, they kind of dropped the ball there. Moving on from driving physics, the addition of car armor allows pretty much any vehicle in the game to defy the laws of physics, allowing one to drive head on into a wall and all that happens is the car looks like it had a minor fender bender. It's pretty ridiculous if you ask me, I'm not gonna lie. This wouldn't be so bad if armor wasn't so easily accessible, and if armor had an impact on performance like it would if this was a realistic game, but the fact that you can put vehicle armor on an exotic supercar, have zero impact on its performance, and have it just twang off of anything scot-free when it bumps into anything, it's just kind of childlike in a sense. It's kind of like playing with those toy cars that you play with as a child. Now until the Bikers update, GTA 5 really didn't have that big of a selection when it came to bikes, but the ones that were there were great to use. No more still handlebars like in GTA 4, we now had fully animated bikes that had questionable physics, but on the most part I can't really fault bikes. They do what you want them to do and they will punish you enough if you smack into anything. Now let's talk about the aircraft a little bit. Fully featured aircraft had been around since San Andreas. I mean GTA 4 had some but not much, but GTA 5 ended up giving us a ton of choice of many different kinds of aircraft that we could fly, especially since the Smuggler's Run content update for the online portion of the game. On the most part, aircraft are relatively decent, but just like the cars, they suffer from a lot of design choices that take away from their full potential. Again, this being a video game designed for many audiences, aircraft had to be kind of scaled down so that they wouldn't be impossible to fly like they are without proper training in real life, so the casual audience can pilot these things and not feel over encumbered with skill issues. However, this does heavily impact one's ability to fly a helicopter in battle, as as the helicopters yaw and pitch fight the controls against you, the player, trying to keep the aircraft centered and straight at all times, which helps for casual people just trying to enjoy their flight across the city, but for those looking to use helicopters like the Buzzard and the Savage for use in combat, the control assistance, as I shall call it, kind of gets in the way to say the least. Like say you're trying to circle a target, but you're traveling too fast in one direction. The helicopter actively fights you, trying to point the nose in the direction of travel, while you are trying to rotate the nose to point in the direction of the target. It's needlessly difficult to point on target with a helicopter, and it really detracts from the overall experience of flying helicopters for those who want to dogfight effectively. Jets too also suffer from some weird design choices, like how the game is trying to be more arcade-like. But while flying in a jet that is travelling no more than 120 miles an hour real life speed, the game feels like it needs to show you what turbulence looks like. It's like, whoa, 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 super realistic, whoa, whoa. It's annoying. I'm trying to line up a target with my autocannon, or trying to line up to fly inside a tight tunnel, and the game is just really being annoying. Like, it's just waving the thing around, and sometimes it causes you to crash. It's really annoying. It's like, friggin' stop it! No, stop it! Why doesn't the Oppressor Mark II get this? Oh, sorry, don't want to get ahead of myself. Overall, aircraft, they could have been changed a bit to make them more enjoyable as a whole, as they kinda suck in GTA 5 without mods to fix their handling. The weapons. A large part of all the Grand Theft Auto games is of course the weapons. Thankfully, GTA 5 does not disappoint with its vast selection of many different kinds of weaponry, from pistols to assault rifles to rocket launchers to sniper rifles, and from the handheld to the vehicle mounted. Because GTA 5 was designed around being more accessible to everyone, I feel like the combat dynamics in this game have been slightly ruined a bit, especially in comparison to a lot of other games around the same era. You know how like in most video games there's a trade-off you have to choosing what kind of weapon you want to bring with you in missions and the like? You know, like, oh, this weapon's lightweight and I can run around with it, nice and quick, but the trade-off being is that it lacks firepower. Or, let's say this weapon is really powerful, it's got a high rate of fire, it'll kill anything near instantly, but it spends all of its ammunition very quickly. You know, basic creator class stuff. There's got to be a trade-off with advantages and disadvantages to carrying every kind of weapon. This is to make sure that the player isn't overpowered and the game gets boring. But in GTA 5, nah, just carry every single weapon in the game at any one time. It'll be totally fine. Let's give them 10,000 bullets as well. They'll never have to worry about running out of ammunition. What's the point of using different kinds of weapons if the player character can always just use the most effective weapon in their arsenal for any one situation on demand? At the start of the game, yeah, sure, you have nothing but pistols and SMGs, but near the end of the game, as soon as you unlock the minigun and the rocket launcher and the heavy sniper, you can pretty much just throw away every other kind of weapon, because outside of doing drive-bys, blowing things up or sniping, there's literally no need to use anything else but your most powerful weapon that you can carry in your magical back pocket. It kinda obsoletes everything that is below what you currently have. In a well-designed game like, say, Doom, yeah, you get to carry your entire arsenal at once, but every weapon has its clear place. It has its strengths and weaknesses, as well as a limited ammo pool, usually, forcing the player to switch weapons from time to time. But in GTA 5 there is very little incentive to do that. Like say for instance you have the choice between either the pump shotgun or the automatic shotgun. Which one should I use? Well, they both carry the same amount of ammunition and deal the same damage per shot, but the automatic shotgun fires faster and also carries more ammunition per reload. Ooh, choices. It kinda makes things obsolete, don't you think? And because you get to carry so much ammunition on you at any one time, there is very little reason for you to switch out weapons. It makes combat as a whole much less interesting than, say, the likes of GTA 4, which you only get to carry one of each kind of weapon at any one time, as well as have limited ammunition, which means you're kind of forced to make use of everything, since there's no definitive overpowered weapon like the minigun in GTA 5. This is good. Nothing is overpowered and nothing is overused, use keeping things interesting. It's like, say you were to play Minecraft survival mode, but you use creative mode the whole time. It's not going to be very fun. You get given too much and it makes you overpowered, and that's boring as a result. Now, to very briefly talk about GTA Online, as this is one thing that it actually did right, is the heists. They force you to use limited loadouts, and I'm guessing Rockstar Games thought, oh crap, we really shouldn't have given an unlimited arsenal to our players, but we can't really change it outside of missions now, so I guess we'll just make sure to do it for heists to make sure that it's at least interesting. So for anyone who has the opinion that carrying every weapon in the game at once is good, just know that you're wrong, and Rockstar agrees. Speaking of weapons, combat. Despite the poor design choices with the unlimited arsenal, the combat is fine, I guess. One thing GTA 5 has over 4 is the inclusion of first-person view, well, at least for the later editions of the game, which allows players other methods in which to play the game as a whole, but mainly combat. With it, you have a greater emphasis on aiming control, as well as the ability to more quickly move around the environment without the game's realistic locomotion system getting in the way. We'll get more on that soon. The melee combat is also passable. They've made so many different melee weapons for the game, of which you'll use like 1 or 2 since they dish out about the same damage, and it's just really fine. Except for underwater combat, I'm surprised the game hasn't had any sort of harpoon gun or an APS underwater rifle, because outside of that, all you have to really do is just melee combat underwater, and that's pretty cringe. Everything else regarding combat in GTA 5, the cover mechanics, the sniping, it's good enough. I can't really fault anything on that front, except for all the glitches that let you exploit weapons beyond the developer's intended use, like the revolver death laser beam, the rapid fire grenade launcher, the rapid fire rockets, or the sniper dancing. Speaking of dancing, movement. Now, one thing I personally complain about in Rockstar's more modern titles like GTA 4, Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2, and GTA 5 is that the character that you're playing as isn't really in direct control from your inputs. Unlike most other games where you push a direction and you move, in Rockstar's more late titles, you push a direction on your control stick which suggests a direction for which your character decides to move. When it works, and it does 95% of the time, it's great. It gives a good flow to the animation cycles and gives your character weight as they move around. It's very good. But when it doesn't work, however, it can lead to frustration, like trying to navigate the tight corridors or, God forbid, parkour. Never ever do parkour in third-person view in this game, or at least without using a gun to aim down your sights to stop your useless character from making a weird turn and falling off a platform. You can partially alleviate this issue by using first-person view, which completely removes the weighty feel and makes the game feel more akin to a not weighty system. I think most of you will know what I mean, if not agree, because most people who are into boots on the ground combat use first person view whenever they're shooting at people, because being able to make quick movements is always welcome over feeling weighty in a video game. Definitely helps for sniper dancing, that's for sure. So the game came in 3 different versions. There's the OG for the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360, there's the Expanded Edition which was for PC, PS4 and Xbox One, and then there's the Expanded and Enhanced Edition which is for PS5 and Xbox Series S. The PC version, as of editing, never got this update and is considered to be the inferior Enhanced version. The Enhanced Edition gave a major graphical overhaul to the game in comparison to the OG version, with better models, textures and effects, as well as upgrading the hardware memory usage, allowing for more DLCs and content to be added to the game, with the Expanded and Enhanced version adding a few select ray tracing shaders, and performance modes for those who don't want ray tracing, as well as a couple extra things in terms of content for GTA Online. Grand Theft Auto 5 is undoubtedly a very good looking game, game even on the OG Standard Edition. Its target hardware was questionable, especially since the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One were already out at the time of GTA 5's release, and it didn't really get its time to shine until it was released for the third time on the 9th generation of consoles with the Expanded and Enhanced Edition. That being said, there is a reason why the game has been running at a locked 30 FPS on Standard and Enhanced Editions up until Expanded and Enhanced, as it simply pushes the consoles to their limits. Whether that be a combination of hardware limits or Rockstar's inability to optimize the code for their game, it definitely pushed anything it ran on to their limits. On PC, because of the limitations of the game's engine, there are a few setbacks that the game suffers from even when played on the most high-end of PCs. From the sprawling city to the deepest parts of the forest to the bottom of the ocean, GTA 5 consistently has a great level of detail when it comes to the model and effect quality. Visual effects when it comes to car crashes are acceptable, not quite BeamNG Drive good, but good enough for the game at the time. Gunfights, whether scripted or sparked on the fly in multiplayer, are also pretty damn good, though as always I still wait for a GTA game which allows me to blow up parts of the map using a rocket launcher. Unfortunately, GTA isn't Battlefield, but what is here is very good. There is close to 1,000 vehicle models in the game, of which have been gradually added through the game's lifecycle, which has resulted in an inconsistent look to the cars. On one car you can have a fully modelled interior with great detailing with the pedals and all the dials and the radio and everything, but then in another car it looked like it was made of cardboard where someone drew in the details with a ballpoint pen. But that's all I can really poke at in terms of the detailing in GTA 5. I'll probably have at least a few people nag me in the comments if I don't mention it, but with the use of mods, the game can be made to look exceptionally good, even by just simply adjusting a few files in the game's code. The default look of the game's weather systems and colour grading has left people wanting a bit better, and have turned to the modding community to alleviate some of the issues. Even if it makes the game look like a literal wet dream, I'm sure most of you will know what I'm talking about when I say there's an abundance of YouTube videos with titles along the line of GTA 5, PlayStation 6 graphics, 8K ultra resolution, ray tracing, high definition, LCD, OCD, LGTV, LGBT, hyper super realistic graphics, must watch, like and subscribe. It's pretty ridiculous, but it does show that the game could have looked better out of the box. The game, by today's standards, is starting to look a bit dated, but besides reminding oneself that this is a 10-year-old game, it also doesn't take advantage of some of the visual post-processing shaders and effects that we take for granted today, such as the ones in Spider-Man where they have fake interiors and buildings, allowing for a much higher level of immersion. And as much as those YouTubers who post videos along the likes of
GTA 5, PlayStation 6 graphics, 8K ultra resolution, ray tracing, high definition, LCD, OCD, LGTV, LGBT, hyper super realistic graphics, must watch, like and subscribe.
There is no ray tracing to be had on the PC version of the game. The game's engine simply doesn't support it, except for the expanded and enhanced version where there are some reflections on cars being dealt with ray tracing, as well as some other surfaces like windows and such. Some things I don't like about GTA 5's graphics would that be there is a lack of actual violence in the game. The game is rated for adults, but outside of cutscenes and scripted events, there's no actual violence in GTA 5. Shooting a pedestrian with a rocket launcher or running them over with a train won't result in any actual gore. Like you would expect if you shot someone with a rocket launcher they'd explode into like 10 pieces with their eyeballs flying at the screen like they do in Rise of the Triad. Why doesn't this happen in GTA? I mean, I'm no psychopath, but I find it pretty funny whenever I can snipe a person in a video game and just have them explode. Postal 2, am I right? Hey. Has Rockstar just gone soft? No, because you can do all that stuff in Red Dead Redemption. Why is it not here? Another minor thing I don't really like about GTA 5's graphics, which you can call a bit of a nitpick, would be the fog effect that is consistently present. I use a mod to remove it on my PC version of the game, which in my opinion makes the world look a lot better. Again, just a minor thing. Other than that, GTA 5 is still a pretty damn good looking game, even by today's standards. There are some parts, of course, where it looks a bit dated, but I really can't fault it that much, besides not being able to turn people into spaghetti whenever I give them a blowjob with a rocket launcher. And alongside all that, with a GTA game, there is still more to go over. Customization, for instance, the ability to modify cars has been the best it's ever been, though I do have to convey my disappointment for the lack of options for the likes of nitrous oxide. Why is that not in the game? I know we got it eventually, sort of in online, but once again, San Andreas had that high adrenaline gas bursting out of the tailpipe a full decade earlier. Perhaps it's because GTA San Andreas came out during the midst of the car tuning scene, you know, with TV shows like Pimp My Ride, the Fast and the Furious movies, and all the car games like Midnight Club and all that stuff were coming out at the time. It made sense, but still, come on, no nitrous oxide in a game like GTA 5? Get out of town. Everything else though is spot on when it comes to customization, with a plethora of parts, wheels and trims for the hundreds of cars that were in the game, even at launch. GTA 5 is the first game in the series to also come with weapon customization. And if we're talking strictly the story mode side of things, the customization of weapons is a bit, crap to be honest. I mean, it has the essentials, but the lack of any sort of colour control when choosing what kind of finish you want to put on a weapon really lacks in that department. Thankfully, in online, this was addressed to a certain extent, but only with certain weapons. Perhaps we'll see a much better customization in GTA 6? And maybe also get ourselves a Forza Horizon level of decal customization for cars in GTA 6. Not only do I want it, I expect it. Yes, I expect to see many cars in GTA 6 Online to be adorned with the liveries of horny Ahegao waifus. While GTA 5 did introduce and evolve quite a lot of the existing game mechanics of the games prior, it did also devolve quite a few things as well. The most notable thing to really take a hit was the police. The police, the FIB, the army are a really important part of the GTA universe. They act as a sort of antagonist to the player during missions, as well as when the player goes on a rampage, and I gotta say, they really suck in GTA 5. Let's start with the police. I'm sure if you've been watching GTA related videos over the past 10 years, I'm sure most of you will have seen that popular video where GTA 4 and 5 are compared against each other in certain aspects. One of those things that were being compared was the police regarding their AI, how they respond to the player and what kind of threat they pose should the player step over the line. The police in GTA 5 have two modes. There's the mode where they're just walking about or driving their car on patrol. Everything is normal, there's nothing happening. But should the player have the audacity to trade paint with a cop car, or God forbid stand in the path of a policeman that is walking down the road, doing absolutely nothing, the police enter mode 2. Killing makes my dick hard! Mode. Instead of having states where the police might approach the player calmly, maybe to question them for their behaviour, or try to calmly arrest the player for whatever they've done, they go from 0 to 100 instantly, and while it is funny the first time you see the police do this, it really detracts from the immersion of the game. Like in previous games, getting busted was a pretty common thing, but in GTA 5? I don't ever remember getting busted. And for a very long time, I didn't even know you could get busted in GTA 5, as the police always resort to using lethal force for even the most minor of crimes. It's extremely excessive at times, and I find it a bit annoying whenever you make a slight mistake and say, I don't know, you scrape a cop car by mistake or whatever, and then in less than 2 minutes the game basically becomes a recreation of the Blues Brothers. What's worse is that when you do lose the cops and you do your very best to try and hide from them, they always somehow know where you are, like they have psychic powers or a crystal ball, and you end up having to glue your eyes to the radar trying to evade them. I get why they've done this, but it's just annoying when you're trying to lose the cops, you're on cooldown phase, driving down a road, and then all of a sudden a cop car just spawns right in front of you, and you can't stop and turn around, and then you end up getting the wanted level back for the 10th bloody time! Now GTA 5 for some odd reason never included the feature of having the army try and stop the player character. Did the developers look at the likes of San Andreas with the tanks trying to blow you up and run you over and said, Nope, this is boring. Remove it. The National Guard in GTA spend pretty much all of their time camping in their stupid military base. What a waste of assets. It would have been fun if high wanted levels contracted the army to send tanks after you, but because they don't do that, you can't really recreate those moments in GTA San Andreas where you would pass the controller around with your friends and see how long you can survive with a high wanted level, because it's just way too easy in GTA 5. Overall, the wanted level system in GTA 5 has the odd case of both being annoying while also being too easy at the same time, and is definitely what I would consider to be the worst part about GTA 5. It's a real letdown which can be fixed with a few changes and mods. GTA 5 is also the first game, except for GTA 1, to include more than just a singular protagonist to play as. 3 heroes, anti-heroes, villains, men take the center stage in the grand scheme of things, each offering their own unique set of skills, missions, traits and stories. Or do they? Well, aside from the special abilities that they have, I'd have to argue outside of the different walk cycles, voices and looks to the 3 characters, they aren't really that much different. The only thing that they don't have in common is their special abilities, and maybe also Franklin with his dog, which in my opinion is a bit of a controversial thing. Not the dog, that's cute, but the abilities. You see, Michael can slow down time, making shots easier to pull off, Trevor can dish out and tank double damage, Franklin's ability allows him to slow down time, driving cars, as well as give him an unprecedented level of grip and handling when behind the wheel. Each of these abilities has a bar which drains and charges from using and performing actions respectively. Out of the 3 characters, the one I found to be using most, and I imagine most players would be using most, would be Franklin's ability, as this in my opinion breaks any sort of driving challenge to be had in the game, with Franklin's special ability letting him instantly slow down time and magically attain levels of grip that even the Red Bull concept car from Gran Turismo 5 would raise an eyebrow at. You can activate the ability as a sort of easy way out, like when you're about to crash into something or turn at a higher speed than you really should be able to. I mean, it's not as cheesy as the rewind function that you see in modern driving games, but it's up there. Thankfully, you can't use the ability during racing specific missions, and the same can be said for Michael's and Trevor's abilities in certain missions, but I find that Michael and Trevor's abilities just aren't needed in my opinion. Michael's ability gets obsoleted by aim assist controls if you play the game on console or with a controller on PC, and Trevor's double damage gets outclassed by simply headshotting everyone. The double health I guess could come in handy at times, but you'd have to be some sort of gung-ho player or a noob if you needed to use it for that reason. Overall, I feel like while the special abilities are a good idea for the game, they're kind of situational, except for Franklin's ability, that's just broken to holy hell. And now for the time some of you will have been waiting for. The online. Grand Theft Auto Online, Rockstar's second official attempt at bringing the open world tomfoolery online. Beginning with GTA 4, you could connect online to compete in death matches, races and the like, or just fool around in the open world map of Liberty City. But as far as properties, cars, missions, heist customization and progression were concerned with, GTA 4's Online never really had it outside of being able to unlock different outfits for your character the more you leveled up. Between the release of GTA 4 and GTA 5, Valve made quite possibly the biggest, most influential update to any video game ever, the Team Fortress 2 Manconomy update. With it, Team Fortress 2 became the pioneer of what would soon to be the big trend among developers, publishers and players alike. If the name doesn't give it away, I'll spill the beans. It's what popularized all of the free-to-play live service loot box stuff that we take for granted today. This update is so influential that Rockstar Games likely took notice, and it was to be implemented into online. With the release of GTA Online, we not only had a big open world to explore with all of our friends online, but we also effectively were given a second life of sorts. All of a sudden, you weren't just playing GTA Online to have fun, you were playing it to earn money and obtain a wage and get money to buy yourself properties, cars, weapons, clothes, and the rest. GTA Online was a hit, and this was before we had heists, facilities, businesses, in-game events, and new locations to visit that would follow over the years. But it was clear that this is a first time not only for Rockstar Games, but for the majority of the games industry as a whole. So there were, and still are, issues. There's slow loading times, there's connection issues, there's hackers, there's nonsensical design choices, the list goes on. At the beginning, like in 2013, GTA Online was nothing more than a simplified version of the story mode, only it was online, and people seemed to enjoy that. Then as time went on with the heist update and all the other great updates, GTA Online kept getting better and better. But then for some reason, the developers just started dropping the ball around when Smuggler's Run ended. After that, updates just started getting a bit... And then there's the whole debacle that is the San Andreas Mercenaries update, which I think a lot of people agree the game would have been better off without the update. And now GTA Online, while it is still popular, the end times are definitely in sight. People have gotten bored, others can't take the nonsensical stuff anymore, some have completed online, they've ranked up to rank 500 or even 1000, they all have all the money that they could ever need and stop playing out of boredom, and people just want a new GTA game to play online in, which is why they turned to 5M. GTA 5's online is no doubt a practice run for what we will eventually get in GTA 6. GTA 5's online is no doubt a practice run for what we will eventually get in GTA 6, no doubt about it. And all the failures that GTA Online has had over these years will be addressed in GTA 6, I hope. So do I think GTA 5 is deserving of the popularity and praise it's got over the past decade? Sort of. I mean, the game is good, don't get me wrong. I guess GTA 5 to me is comparable to enjoying a sharing box of multi-flavored chocolates. There's a lot of chocolates or parts of the game that you really like, such as the caramel or the white chocolate, or perhaps the orange flavour one. But then there's also the strawberry syrup chocolates, which taste good at first, but then it makes you all sickly and just makes you want to go back to the better tasting ones. That's kind of what GTA 5 is like, a selection box of chocolates in which not all of the selection available are to your liking. Yeah, I'm sure that'll work as a great analogy. So there we have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed what I had to say about GTA 5. If you did, make sure to check out the Discord channel where you can rub shoulders with myself as well as other GTA fans, and on top of that, I hope I earned a subscription from you, maybe even a like, or God forbid, a notification mark. Anyways, I will see you around, folks.